Right, hello world. This is my middle-age crisis coming to yet another pinch point where I've got to the point where I'm going to try brewing some beer. I've never tried it before, this is the first time. And I'm going to brew something called Uncle Brian, I've called it, which will pay homage to my best friend. His name isn't Brian, but there's a joke there that no one else understands. So this is what I'm going to try and do. I've got all my bits and pieces together. I've got some malt. I've got some dextrose. I've got some malt extract. I've got sanitizer. I've got a brewing vessel, yeast and hops, an old steel pan that I'm going to brew everything up in. And this is just a complete kind of novice having a go at this stuff and seeing whether I can get away with it. So the ancient art of brewing is now something that I wish to master. I've mastered most of the other things in life, so you know, why not do this instead? So I'll probably talk you through a bit of what I'm doing, and let's see whether we can brew up some beer and get it right. Ooh. Right, so here are my basic ingredients. I've got some malt extract, some brewing sugar, I've got some Pilsner malt, and Belgian yeast. I've got Styrian Golding hops and SARS hops. I've got a spoon thing, some bags for my hops, and a bag, muslin bag for my malt to go in. So I'm going to use, and then I've got the lid for my fermenter and a nice airlock and a bung. Oh. And then here I've got, swoosh it around, I've got 5 litres of water ready for my no rinse sanitizer that I'm going to try and use. So here we go. I'm going to add 3 heat teaspoons to that. Bung everything in there together, all the bits and pieces like that. Anything that needs to be sanitized, hopefully being clean enough, and then I'm going to hopefully start brewing. Right, so I've got my sanitizer stuff here, which is sodium percarbonate apparently, and I've got a measuring thing, like one of these spoony things. So it's 3 teaspoons. I think it's a teaspoon. Have a look. 3 heaped teaspoons. Oh, so I've got an exact measure. Oh well, I'll just add a little bit extra. 1, 2, 3, and a bit for luck. Do another half. Here's the heaped ones. I suppose the problem is I'm holding a phone, so it's really difficult to record, isn't it? And I have to sloosh that around. Right, I realise that of course I have this, so I can mix it up with this. So I'm going to swoosh it all around. Initially it wasn't dissolving very well, probably because I could have thought about it and put it in some mildly warm water, but that requires thought. And like I said, I've never done this before, so this is all new to me. And I'm going to bung anything in there that needs disinfecting. So I've got the bung from the what do you call them? Airlock. I've forgotten the name of it now that it's. I'm standing in front of it. I'll remember it later. But they're the thing that stops the stuff getting in there, aren't they? So bung all that in there. I've got the spoon in there. I've got my lid for the fermenter, which I'm probably going to screw on top. It's got a hole in it, so I'm going to have to stick my hand over it. It says lubricate before use, so I have to find some Vaseline or something to do that with, and I put the big spoon in there. So I'm going to open the tap on the side as well, so that some stuff goes through that, just to make sure that's clean. And then that should be sanitized. I'm going to pour a bit into my pan, which looks really unclean, so hopefully it will just make the beer taste nicer, because And then I've got a colander here, which I'll probably sanitize as well, and a lid for the pan, so I'll do that as well. Hopefully that will mean that everything's clean enough to get on with brewing. Right, cool, cheers. I realise I have a nice thermometer that is got a, fire it. It's got a little sort of dot on it, and you can fire at things and it'll just give you the temperature, so that's kind of quite useful. So that's it's either Fahrenheit or centigrade. So for brewing, a lot of the recipes are American websites have them on, so it's quite useful. You can go between Fahrenheit and centigrade. And then the next thing I said is I'm going to put some the sanitizer in here and just make sure that's clean before we start. I'll probably put slosh it on that as well. Just make sure everything's had a bit of a sanitize so that we're clean. Apparently the golden rule in brewing is sanitize, sanitize, sanitize. I'm not sure I'm going to do it all right, but I'm going to try and do it as well as I can. Just make sure that it's clean so my brew doesn't spoil. Right, so after all that faffing around, I kind of wonder why, what kind of brew I'm going to try and make. Now, obviously, I've been on Google looking up a few YouTube videos, and the thing is, you can, be a noob at doing stuff and have a sort of go at it. But I actually thought, I'm going to go and try something off the deep end. I like drinking Duvel. It's my kind of go-to beer in the summer. I rather like it. I've got a few little bottles that I've kept from it because I had this sort of romantic plan that I might brew something that is on a kin to that. I'm sure it won't come out as well as that, but what I'm going to attempt to do is have a go at brewing that, which is why I've got the light malt and the Pilsner malt, the light malt extract and the Pilsner malt, which is the stuff that I'm going to use to brew up with. And I found a recipe online which is like for nerdy brewers, but I'm going to have a go at it and do it a kind of naff way. According to my friend, my best friend Brian, whose name isn't Brian, or the beer is called Uncle Brian in paying homage to him, it should be that as long as you're careful and you sanitize and you bung everything in the barrel and you roughly do it according to the plan, what comes out at the end should be beerish. So if I can make something that's beer-like and it doesn't taste of shit, I'll be all right, won't I? So and it's alcoholic as well, of course. So the idea is to make something that is more alcoholic rather than lower alcohol. I did consider on volumes that I looked online. You can buy like 1 gallon, which is American gallon, which is sort of 4 litres ish of, you buy a little fermenter and a kit and everything. And then when I spoke to Uncle Brian, it meant that he just said that he's an experienced brewer more than me. He said that you might as well just brew on volume. So I'm going to do the equivalent of 5 US gallons, which is 19 litres. So my fermentation tank has got quite helpful. It's got little markings on the side somewhere. So that's my that's my nice thermometer, and it's got the markings on the side that go all the way from 2. You can do litres or gallons. So this is imperial gallons. So imperial gallons are slightly more than US gallons. So you get a bit more volume. I might, although it's 19 litres, I don't know whether I might just put a little bit more in. Apparently you should be careful not to put too much in. So the recipe that I'm going to go with, I shall read it out. So I'm going to go with a extract version. So initially it was like, oh, you have to mash and all this stuff and mash up loads and loads of grain, and I was like, oh, I couldn't be asked to do that. So my friend Uncle Brian, he also said, well, you don't have to do that, you do partial mash. And I sent him the recipe that I googled, and then he goes, oh look, if you read the bottom, there's a partial mash version. So I'm going to do the partial mash cheating version. So it probably will not be Duvel when it comes out, but hopefully it'll still be some kind of strong ish beer, which is why. So it's got Pilsner malt, so that's going to be like 1 pound of that, and then it's going to have 1 pound of that, which is 500 grams roughly. I just translate things into kilos because we're in the UK. This is an American recipe again, and so it was like half a kilogram of grain to 3 kilograms of malt extract. So I'm going to do the initial mash in a minute. I'm just waiting for everything to finish sanitizing, and then I'm going to brew up. So I bought a muslin bag for that. So I'm going to put the mash into the bag. That means that then I haven't got a sort of just do loads of like transferring it to different containers and possibly introducing contaminants. I'm going to try and do it all in the pan, and then in the tub. I'm going to use tap water. I'm not going to do anything special. I'm not going to dechlorinate the water or anything. I just decided that I'm going to make this as easy as possible. I know that probably people that actually brew properly and know what they're doing are probably shouting at me now and saying you have to dechlorinate, you have to do this, that and the other. Okay, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to see what comes out the other end, and then if it comes out acceptable, you know, I may try again in the future. But this is my first attempt. This is the first time I brewed. I'm going to keep saying that, and so it's like, oh, you know, here we go. And so let's get ready for the brew or the mash, or whatever, you know. Right, I've got my mashing bag here, my lovely muslin bag for my mash to go in. I'm actually going to put that into this bowl, which I've just sanitized, and I'm going to put a bit of sanitizer on it and just squeeze it out and wash it under the tap, so that I know that that's been sanitized as well. Okay, I thought I might use a jug to put the grain into, because I've just that's been decontaminated as well. So scissors. No, I haven't decontaminated them. Maybe I should decontaminate those as well. Right, sanitized scissors. Exciting stuff. As I said before, this is Pilsner malt. I got no idea if it's the best or the worst. Just bought it on Amazon. I've been really lazy. Went to Amazon, ordered everything in one go, because I'm not a poor person doing this on a budget to make cheap beer. I'm just going to have a go. So this is not about saving money. It is a vanity project, which obviously is part of a midlife crisis. So there's my malts. I'm just going to pick it up and mix it up a bit and see what happens. Right, I just shook the bag up so that it's roughly mixed up. I don't know if that's going to work. Right, I'm going to go for about 500 grams of this. If I can get it to come out. Uh-oh, 1 gram over. Wonder if that'll ruin it. Oh well. Let's see. Right, okie dokie. I have my grain bag. Oh, look at that exciting grain bag. Which looks like an old sock. Now, I'm going to be clever and do that. Put that over there, and then turn it upside down. So, see now, I'll put that on there. See if that works. Now, I'm having trouble filming because I haven't got a professional setup here. I'm just using my lovely phone. So here is my grain bag. Turn it upside down, and there is my grain in the bag, ready to be mashed. Oh, a bit of dust came out. I suppose I need to pull that up so that it doesn't go everywhere. Pull the strings. Doesn't really matter, does it, if it's open a bit. Now, with my hops, I got given another little bag here, so I'm going to use that for my hops later. So I will be weighing those out in a bit, and that will be exciting, won't it? Right, so got my pan over here with some hot water in it. I'm going to top it up and put a bit more in, and I don't know what volume it is, but I'm just going to bung a bunch of water in, then sort of start to heat it up. Try and get roughly to the temperature. So, okay, as you can see, I've added in about half water now, and my thermometer is giving me sort of, just do it into the water. So what have I got? 98.5 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to have to bring it up a little bit. I haven't turned on the burner yet. So let's turn on the burner. Now this is a powerful burner, so I don't know how long I'm going to... So I'm just going to get this up to temperature, and then we will start adding in our grain to start steeping. Right, I didn't read the instructions properly. It says replace 11 pounds of the Pilsner malt. So if you were doing a full malt, it would be 12 pounds of Belgian Pilsner malt. Well, I'm not doing that. I'm doing 1 pound, which is 500 grams. And then and then 7 pounds, which is 3 kilograms of my light dry malt extract. So this is steep the remaining pound of Belgian Pilsner malt at 150 to 155 degrees C for 30 minutes using a muslin grain bag. Tick. Right, I'm just waiting for the water to heat up, and then I will pop the bag in. Right, I've been interrupted now, so got the milk and tea for Mrs. Long Suffering. Okay, right, I've got my water nearly ready now. I'm just going to put my temperature thing on it, see what it says. What are we getting? 151, 152. All right, I'll turn that down. So I don't want it to. Problem with a metal pan is it probably just keep heating up. So I'll turn that down now. Hopefully it will stabilise. So I don't want to get too hot. Right, so I'll just look at my. It's back to front, isn't it? Is that back to front? Right. Anyway, 151, 151, 151. Cool. Right, I'll come back to you in a minute after I've made the Mrs. cup of tea. Just wondering what other criticisms I can garner from people, like I put the milk in before I put the tea bag in, so I make tea like that. How dare I? You must be punished. I suspect in the next life I won't be so fortunate, because when I get to heaven and they say, did you used to make tea by putting the milk in first? And I'll say, yep, and they'll go, right, straight to hell with you, you evil heretic. Look at that, perfect cup of tea. Yep, don't care what you say. Tea bag, milk first, then tea bag, then you always get a nice cup of tea. So, whatever. You can hate me in the comments if you want. Right, now that I've made a cup of tea, I realise that my temperature has gone up too high. So I'm just going to let it cool down for a bit. It's a marvellous thing, isn't it, with the laser? So, what a gadget. Okay, so I'm going to let it cool down for a minute and drink my cup of tea. So, cheers. Right, be back. Here's my mash in the bag. I mean, it smells very malty, so I'm going to put this in and just let this steep for, I guess, the 30 minutes that it says. It's actually, the burner's not on at the moment, so I might need to just pop the burner on at a point. Just going to keep that over there so that it's actually quite whoosh it around a bit, actually, and stir the water in. I mean, never done this before, it's very smelly. Smells of like porridge oats on steroids, really. So just going to get in there and mush it around so that all the water goes into the grains, really. Because I suppose what we want is all that nice stuff out of the Pilsner malt to impart itself into the what do you call it? The water. I'm sure it's got a name, sparge or something like that. Whatever. All these terms that brewers use, it's just like poncy names for water, really, and mush. Right, let's get going. Right, so I'm going to take that out, try not to get it to go everywhere. I'm doing it in the muslin bag because I don't want to have to transfer it between containers, because I'm just paranoid that I'm going to get a load of shit in it and then it will go bad. So at the moment I'm going to leave that in there to steep. I'll check my thing. See, that's gone down to 140, so I'm just going to turn the little burner on, I'll just heat it up a bit more, and set my timer on the cooker to 30 minutes. And then with the magic of technology, we will come back in 30 minutes. Right, so I've now had half an hour of don't know, mashing, whatever you call it, and it's in there. I mean, I don't know if that's going to show a decent picture. It's probably going to go misty on the thing. Got my grain in a bag. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that out. Put that in there. Right, I am leaving my what do you call it? My stuff to just drain out over here. Let's go It's sitting in there drinking it. I don't know really what to do. I poured a little bit of water onto it. There's a bit of stuff in the bottom bit. So I'll leave that. I'm going to leave that to rest for a minute. And then I've got to stir in the other malt. So let me just probably get going. Let me just check the recipe. Probably the best thing to do. 30 minutes. So we've done our 30 minutes. Begin. Drain out the bag. Turn off the flame. Dissolve the extract thoroughly. Okay. Let me see. I've got these nice bags of extract. Malt extract. Again, just bought this on light malt extract. 1 kilogram. So I've got 3 of those with my 3 kilograms of recipe. So this already smells like really strong Horlicks. So I assume that adding even more of this kind of stuff to it's going to just make it smell even stronger. Right, so I've got, oh, it doesn't dissolve. It clumps together. No, that's useless. Well, I suppose I've got to just splodge it around until it dissolves. It is like Horlicks. It's just like Horlicks. That doesn't dissolve either. Right. Just try and get it so it dissolves. How boring is this? Watching someone do this for half an hour. So this is just one as well. I'm hardly put any in. It's got it does dissolve. Give it credit. I've turned off the heat now, so there's no heat running through this. So I'm hoping that this will just sort of mush up together using my spudgy spoon spudge. It's going to be a real sort of thick old liquor, isn't it, by the time you kind of put all that malt extract into it. Right, this is boring, so I'm just going to turn it off now. Right, I have my pan of stuff. Just dissolving the last few bits of malt extract, which are sort of hanging around. The volume's gone up quite a lot after adding 3 kilos of stuff. Smells very, very brewery-ish. If you've ever walked past a brewery, that's what it smells like. That kind of very strong sort of malt flavour smell. And it's all looking rather delicious. Even though it's not got any alcohol in it at the moment, it looks like it will brew up nicely. So I'm just going to now do my 90 minutes of boil. So after 30 minutes of this initial stage, I'm going to add my Styrian Goldings, and then after another 30 minutes, I'll add my SARS, whatever they are, hops. So that will be my hoppings that go in this. Right, I have just measured out my Styrian Goldings, I think, and I'm going to do my SARS hops now, so just bear with me a sec. Right, so these are my hops. I've just bought them pellets, vacuum sealed. I've got no idea whether these are good or bad. I did ask my friend Uncle Brian, and he said it doesn't matter. This is 21, so 2021 hops. Using my sanitized scissors, open the bag. Just look like little sort of, don't know if you can see little pellets, and I'm going to measure out. Very exciting stuff. Very exciting if you've never brewed before. 26 grams, so there you go. Now, what you're supposed to do with these after you've used them and you've opened the packet, so they're supposed to be in a sealed environment, is that I'm going to pop them into a plastic container and put them in the freezer, which is what Uncle Brian has also told me to do, so that they are fresh. Because I'm planning, the reason I've used, so there's 100 grams in each one. The reason I've used 50 grams of the Styrian Goldings, which is, the recipe said 2 ounces, which is a bit over that, but I want to have enough here, so I've used 50 grams so that I've got another 50 grams for next time, so I wouldn't have too little next time. So there are my hops, all nice and aromatic. They definitely smell different. So they do smell a bit like beer. Very nice, very aromatic. Right. So I said, actually I haven't written anything on it. Write something on here, or someone will get it out of the freezer and it will get defrosted and no one will know what it is. Right, so I'm going to put hops. Hops, no touch. Right, here we go. Right, now you're going to go into the freezer. Oh, behind the squeaky door in the room that is impossible to get into. Right, here we go. This freezer full of rubbish. Right. I've got some ice there. I'm going to use that later. I'm going to attempt to pop my brew once it's finished into the sink here in the utility room, and it's going to get sort of reduced in temperature a bit, because that's what they recommend. I don't know if it'll make any difference, but I just thought if it says it, I'll have a go, see if I can reduce the temperature down before. I guess it helps if you're going to put the yeast in, get it down to temperature. It's apparently something that helps with the clarity of the beer, whether it does or not. I mean, you know, I'd love it to come out all clear and lovely, but I'm not filtering it, I'm not doing anything with it, I'm not adding any finings or anything. I'm just literally going to make sure that I just follow the steps to put the fermentation stuff in the barrel. I don't know the problem is I don't know the names. They keep calling it sparge, lauter, and all these kind of different things. So wort. Let's put that in the fermentation vessel. I'm going to sprinkle my yeast in that. I've got some yeast nutrient, which is here, which I'm going to yeast nutrient, which I'm going to add at the end after I put in the sugar. So the sugar goes, I've got the dextrose, and that goes in at the last 15 minutes of the boil. So there's going to be quite a lot of sugar in this, so I'm assuming that the more sugar there is in it, the more the yeast has got to munch up and digest into alcohol, which is the ultimate goal, is to have something strong and alcoholic. Ha 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 ha. Whether it works or not is another matter. I'm really pleased with the colour now. All the malt extract, I got a bit worried that the malt extract wouldn't dissolve, but I'm really pleased with the colour it's coming out. It's this really sort of rich kind of toffee colour, which that makes sense to me, that using the lighter malt that we're going to get this kind of toffee, and hopefully that will now ferment down and make the really nice sort of German or Belgian type, you know, that strong beer that I'm after. So I hope that I bought the right yeast as well. So I have got, I'm not going to do a yeast starter, I'm going to sprinkle it on top, but I have got this, it does say on it, general purpose yeast for the production of a varied range of top fermented special beers, Belgian type wheat beers, Trappist, etc. So there we go. So I'm hoping that that is going to be suitable. Like I said, I've got my hops ready. They do smell, I mean, they smell rather wonderful. So keep smelling them. And then, like I said, the final stage there is my sugar's got to go in. That's 15 minutes at the end, so I'm going to do that. So hopefully all of these things, and then it will be ready, and then I'll plop in that sink with some ice in it and let it cool down a bit. Hopefully that'll clear it a bit, and then I'm going to try and decant it carefully into the fermentation vessel, sprinkle the yeast on top. Also remember to add my yeast nutrient before I finish off, and then hopefully we can start brewing. And I realised the thing that I can't remember the name of it is called an airlock, so I will put the airlock in as well, and hopefully we'll see some not too long after we'll see some bubbling. Aha, right, as you can tell the beeping is beeping, so we've had half an hour of the boil. Reset the timer, and I've got my Goldings hops in this little bag, and I'm going to pop them in, and then they will get half an hour in here before I add the sauce. So I just need to get that to sink in. Sink in for me. Ooh, it's very strong. Don't need to mulch away, I assume. Oh, very strong now. Now it smells of beer with the hops in. So, it's getting very hot. Right, I'm not happy with the bag here at the moment because it's sort of hanging around, and I want it to be in, so I'm going to use one of these little clips and just clip it to the side so that it can't escape and fall into the brew. So then I know that it's there and it's not, because I don't think the string on it's really good for tying it up. It's you know, like I said, I've never done this before, so I'm just hoping that it's immersed enough with it on the side like this for it to really impart its flavours. I mean, it's all puffed up. Maybe I'll show you that the hops are sort of puffed up in their bag, so it's kind of, they've expanded, and let's turn this camera around. So they've expanded in the bag and they're all sort of pushing away. So I assume that if they're going to float on top like that, they're just going to do that anyway, regardless of whether they're in a bag. So, but because the clip's on there, the bag can't escape. And again, the reason I'm doing this is so that I don't have to, you know, decant it out and do anything with it. I'm going to have, so basically my brew, this has just come onto a nice rolling boil, which is what I wanted, simmering away. So that's hopefully going to be like that. And I'm going to set my timer again to another 30 minutes. I can get it right. There we go. So it's going to be counting down. Countdown begin. Right, we are back on. Right, stop the timer. That's 6. So that's had 30 minutes of the hops. I had a bit of an accident where I got a bit of the hops into the mixture. So I have just a kind of colander in case I need it to filter anything out later. So that's just the sodium stuff on that. Very nice. It doesn't look particularly contaminated, but I'm kind of happy with that. What I'm going to try and do now is open the hop bag and pour in the SARS hops. Right, try not to burn my fingers. I don't know if I'll be able to do this successfully, but I'll have a go. The other way I could do it is to, actually I might just get a I've got my jug that's been using, so I wrap this around here because it started to leak a bit, as in the hops are coming out, which I don't want. So if I just put this in, put that in there for a minute. So that's my SARS. I can get them to go in and it's not too hot. Right, see if I can get them to go in. Right, suitably added. It's mushy because they're pellets. It all goes to mush, so it goes everywhere. Right, so that's that. I've got that. So I'm glad I put that clip on there because otherwise it would have gone everywhere. Pour that back in. So this is on a sort of gentle simmer. I'm trying not to sort of really boil it hard because I don't want to sort of ruin anything, but I'm assuming that way that this is correct. So it's bubbling away, but just gently. So very sticky when you get it on your hands. So I suppose there's loads of sugar in it. Right, just dry my hands off. Then I'm going to set my timer now. So for 15 minutes, and then after 15 minutes, I'm going to bung in the sugar. Right, alarm's going off. So that is the 15-minute mark for the end. Now, I've got this stuff. I mean, the recipe said candy syrup, but I couldn't be asked to buy it, so I just got dextrose. I read various things, and people said, you know, whatever. So, like I said, I am not a professional brewer. I'm not a professional home brewer. It's the first time I've done this, and I am just being, you know, doing it away. I kind of found all this stuff, and I thought I'll just do it. So this is dextrose going in at 15 minutes before the end. So it's going to make this very syrupy, I suspect. But there's a lot of sugar. I probably need to make sure that I'm stirring now because don't want it to get too thick, fall to the bottom, and then sort of, this is looking extremely nice. I put the SARS hops in, and I was saying that I wanted to brew something Develish, and it does smell. It's got that aroma to it. So fingers crossed, it might come out, not like cat's piss, which is another of my favourite brews, obviously. Not quite so enjoyable though. Yeah, at least it's not Bud Light. Right. I wouldn't try and brew that. If I wanted to drink water, I'd just get it out of the tap. Right, here we go. I'm just adding this in, dissolving it. I mean, unlike the malt extract, sugar just dissolves straight in. So although it's clumps, it's a big clump of it, it just stir it up a little bit, and it's going very syrupy. I'll get the camera over in a minute and put it on here and show you. And my hops are sort of nicely poofed up. So it's interesting that once you the pellets get into the water, it all really poofs up, which makes sense because they're just flowers or whatever, aren't they? Off a hop or hops. I don't know what hops are. Probably a flowery type thing on the end of a tree. I don't know. Never really thought about it. I know that they go in beer and they make beer taste nice. And they are also a preservative, which is how they used to make the IPAs, isn't it? How they got them to preserve so that they could get the IPAs to India without them going off, which I'm sure the sailors and all the people who drank them appreciated. Now this has gone really nice and thick. Just going to pop that to one side and bring my camera around. Right. Not sure I'll put it on that way because obviously I'm moving it around. But this is like really thick and syrupy. I mean, although some of the hops escaped, which I was slightly miffed about, doesn't really appear that very much. It's gone in there. You can see a few little bits. Look, so a few little bits of green on there. Oh, I've got misty. So this is now really thick and syrupy. So it's just got its last 15 minutes now. So I'm just going to put my last 15 minutes. 15 minutes, and then that will just cook away. Don't know what the temperature is anymore. So it's 76.2 degrees centigrade or 169 Fahrenheit. It's just gone off the boil actually, or the simmer, since I added the sugar. So the sugar's obviously cooled it down a little bit. I'm just going to finish off my last 15 minutes of brewing this. Then I'm going to pop it in the sink in the utility room and put some ice around it, cool it down. I'm not going to do anything special. I'm not going to use a cooling thing like you can buy. Like I said, I'm not a brewing nerd. I'm just trying to brew something nice and have a go. And then I'm going to decant it into my fermenter. And right at the end, also when I take this off the boil, I'm going to put in, I think, the yeast. What do you call it? Yeast nutrient, which hopefully will help it. And then I will sprinkle the yeast on top. It says to sprinkle the yeast on top. I was talking to Uncle Brian. He said he's making beer today, and he's making a yeast starter. And I thought, I'm not really experienced enough to do that. It's the kind of thing that he's done after, he's brewed up quite a lot, and he's a bit more experienced than me. And I just said, look, I want to do this as simply as possible, and try and make something nice. And so I've been, sanitize, keeping everything sanitized, and hopefully that's done enough to just make sure that the brew won't spoil from not being sanitary. Whether or not it's good enough quality, I don't know, but I've sent him a picture on the WhatsApp, and according to him it looks good. So I mean, it smells right to me, it looks good, and hopefully it's going to come out not tasting of cat's piss. Right, I'm nearly there. I've just got my sink prepared in the utility room with some water in it. I've got ice in the freezer, so what I'm going to do is just transfer when we're ready. Oh, made it boil too much. Transfer when we're ready to the sink, just to cool it down quickly, which is apparently supposed to help with clarity. I don't know if it means any difference, but I'm just going to do it because it's on the recipe for me, and then hopefully get a slightly clearer product at the end. Who knows? Right, and boil. Exciting stuff. Right, turn off the timer. The oven's on now because my wife is cooking dinner and I'm trying to get done before everyone gets in there and gets in my way. Right, here we go. I'll leave that in there for a few minutes to cool down, but I'll just make sure no spiders fall into it. If they do, I'll filter them out. I've got my yeast extract here, which I'm going to pop in. It's cooling down. I mean, I don't know if this is right. It says this is 1 pack of this per 21 litres worth of beer. Exciting stuff. Decanting the stuff out and putting it in. Probably this is wrong with dirt. I don't know. Who knows? But it is certainly safer than trying to pour a big vat of boiling liquid into something. Yes, nice and messy, big puddle of liquid stuff in there. I'm going to add a bunch to it to bulk it up to the right amount, and then I'm going to sprinkle the yeast on top, and then I'm just going to leave it. Okay. Right, everything's cooled down enough now. It's been a little bit longer than I thought because it was quite warm. I didn't want to put it in when the brew was too hot in case it damaged the yeast. I've got my yeast here, and it said, pardon me, it said sprinkle on top, so I'm going to chop this off with my sanitized scissors. This has been screwed on and it's kind of ready to go. Got some water in it, so the airlock's ready. Just need to pitch my yeast. Pitching yeast. Take that off, put it on the floor so it doesn't get Right. Yeast is in. Fermentation. Right, we're back the next day or the next morning, and we're really going for it now. So after that teeny tiny bubble last night, we are going full steam ahead. So it looks good to me. Beer sitting in the cupboard. It seems to be quite happily fermenting away. So there you go. We'll leave it alone.